Welcome to the 46th in a series of shows focused on Brookline as an age-friendly community. In 2012, Brookline was designated the first age-friendly city in New England by the World Health Organization of the United Nations. This year, the AARP also listed Brookline as one of its age-friendly cities. This resulted from the work of residents, the select board, the town departments, and the leadership provided by Brookline Can, an all-volunteer organization that works on issues that benefit residents of all ages. All viewers are also welcome to join Brookline Can, which is a network of people, ideas, and actions. Just go to the brooklinecan.org website. Our guests today are the Director of Finance, Lincoln Heineman, and the Tax Assessor, Rachid Belhocine. Rachid has worked at Brookline assessing for 35 years in the assessment department. He's been the Chief Assessor and Chair of the Board of Assessors since 2020. And for 13 years, he was a Deputy Chief Assessor. Welcome, Rachid. Lincoln Heineman is Brookline Director of Finance and the Treasurer/Collector. His past roles in Massachusetts include at the Whitman, Massachusetts Town Administrator, as the Hanover, Massachusetts Finance Director, and in the Governor's Budget Office and the state's Office of Inspector General, as an MBA from NYU and Stern School of Business, which I know. Okay, I'd like to start with Lincoln.
So as Matt mentioned, so I've been the Director of Finance for the town since November 2022. And the responsibilities, I sort of wear two hats. One is as the department head for the entire Department of Finance, and then also as the division head. In Brookline, we think of them as divisions for the Treasurer Collector's Office. So there are 5 divisions within the Department of Finance. I can, briefly talk a little bit about the role of each. Rachid, as our Chief Assessor, is one of those division heads, and he's going to talk specifically about some of the great work that they do. So I'll start with the role as the Treasurer Collector. So for those of you, those of your viewers who own a vehicle in town, or own real estate, or pay water and sewer refuse bills, the primary role there is collecting all revenue. So the collector part is posting all bills and collecting all of that revenue on behalf of the town. The treasurer part is primarily focused on cash management. So the town has not insignificant reserve funds of various kinds, trust funds, other amounts, and so investing those funds so that the maximum return possible is received by the town or the relevant trust fund. And the other primary role of the treasurer piece is the issuance of debt. The town has approved, the voters have approved several debt issuances in particular over the last 5 to 10 years. And so a big piece of that is managing that debt, issuing that debt with our financial banking partners, and again, in that case, receiving the lowest interest rate as opposed to the highest interest rate on the collections on the reserve side of our borrowing rates. So that's really the primary role for that division. The other divisions are the Comptroller's Office, the Payroll Office, the Purchasing Office, and then Rachid's work in the Assessing Office. So briefly, the Payroll Office is sort of just as it says. There's the town's payroll office ultimately is the issuer of payroll for all of the town and school employees. A big part of that, we have both weekly payroll for many employees, but then some employees in the school department are on biweekly payroll. So that's a critical role. Our largest expenses in the town are employees and their salaries, and so ensuring that folks are paid accurately on time is not only sort of the moral obligation in a way of the town, but also a legal obligation of the town. And so there's a series of also legal obligations with respect to the Internal Revenue Service and all of that. The Comptroller's Office is the accounting wing of the town. So that is ensuring that all bills, both payroll, but primarily their vendor bills, are paid on time, are accurate, are paid on time. That all and also the primary role in terms of reporting to the state, so that, for example, in the fall, and in conjunction with the assessor's office, the tax rate may be set. They are critical in terms of what folks have probably heard of the term free cash, which is the amount that is left over at the close of each fiscal year from amounts appropriated by town meeting and not spent, or revenues that have come in over projections. So there's a series of accounting rules that the comptroller's office does. The chief purchasing, the purchasing office, and the chief procurement officer, Dave Giannakakis, who many folks probably may have interacted with over the years, is responsible for complying with all the state laws and local regulations having to do with procurement, and ensuring that we follow those laws, that we're receiving goods and services, and also to a certain extent construction of the buildings.
So, Mike,
Sorry, yes.
I'm sorry. I'm fascinated. Actually, does that include construction, whether or not there are union workers, for instance, on projects?
Yeah, so the building department, there is a building department, and the building department is the primary role and the primary project managers for example, school construction projects.
Okay.
However, there's a lot of interaction with the chief procurement officer, Dave, and the purchasing office to ensure that we're following the state
Sure.
law.
Sure.
And in particular, ensuring that bid documents, there's a series of state laws that require how bids are done for construction projects. That all goes through that office. To your question about union employees, yes. So there is a series of state laws regarding prevailing wage, and in particular on school and town construction projects, that the men and women who are building those projects are paid the prevailing wage as set by the state.
Great.
And then we have the assessing office, and Rachid Belhocine, the chief assessor, who the primary role is determining the fair market value of the assessed value of all properties in town, and issuing those bills in addition to motor vehicle excise bills and personal property tax bills, and resolving all abatements and exemptions with those bills. So I know that's the general role of Rachid's office, and then a very small part, but a very important part of what he does and what his office does are processing exemptions. So
That's a big part.
absolutely. And I should mention,
if you're getting one of the exemptions, it's a big part.
and I should mention quickly, our payroll director is Don DeVito. There's actually the comptroller is vacant at the moment. We're working towards a new comptroller and having a new comptroller. But certainly, if in the future you want to have shows with some of those other pieces, and I'm sure those division heads would be thrilled to do that too.
And how do you relate to the town administrator? You report to him, or?
I do. So actually report through Melissa Goff, the deputy town administrator,
Yes.
but ultimately and certainly work closely with Chaz Carey, the town administrator, as well on anything and everything related to finance.
Rachid.
Yes.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your role as both assessor and your advice in dealing with the other organizations.
So the assessor is responsible for valuing all the real estate, including residential, commercial, and also personal property for tax purposes. We value all exempt properties, or what we call exempt properties, nonprofit. And we also administer the excise tax that is bills that are issued by the Registry of Motor Vehicle each year. And we process all the abatements, appeals, and exemptions, which we'll be talking about shortly. Various programs that the town provides and offers, from the state run programs to local options. And so this is, we, during the year, we determine all the assessments. By the end of the year, we present the results to the select board. We have what we call the annual tax classification hearing, present the material and to help them vote on the tax rates, residential, commercial, and determine the percentage of the residential exemption. And that's the goal of us establishing all the assessments fairly and accurately for the year.
Now, for our older adults, the thing they're interested in, deferral programs, the exemptions, the work-off programs, all the various methods where people who qualify can get what's due them in order to make their life a little bit easier under major taxes and major costs that the town has. There are people who are looking forward to that. So can you describe some of those programs?
Absolutely. So we have several exemptions. We can start with there are several exemptions that are state programs that the town adopted. These are mostly geared towards the seniors with low to moderate income. And we'll start with what we call senior exemptions, which is Clause 41C. That's the state description for the actual form. And that is, it's provided to the seniors at 65 and older. They have to be domiciled 5 years in the primary residence, but domiciled in Brookline for the last 10. There's an asset limit and an income asset limit for this particular program and an income limit. So the asset limit is for a single person is $56,832, and for married couple is $78,000.
That doesn't include the house, right?
No, that's just those are the assets excluding the domicile, the main domicile.
Okay.
But if you do own a single home, that's included. And also there is an income limit in this for this exemption is $28,416 for single and $42,624 for married couple. That's the first clause.
So that if I wanted to look that up, I thought I was qualified. What would I do? Would I go to?
Yeah. So the assessor's website, on town website, and go to the assessor's office, and there is a file, a link to the tax assistance programs, and that lists all these programs with, including all the qualifications and the limits and the including the actual application form. So that be posted. That is posted yearly on the website, and it's just a link from the main website. We also have information.
And that would have been 41C.
That is 41C, yes. And so the exemption the first time is $500, and it can go up to $1,000. Well, that's one thing that the town does, is the state program provide the base amount of $500, and then with the local option, Brookline adopted this option of doubling the exemption back in fiscal year '89, that the town files a warrant article for the town meeting that is yearly, has been approved yearly, and that is to allow the town to double the exemptions. So instead of getting the $500, you get $1,000 for the exemption.
Okay, and I can get the specifics if I want to apply. I can go to the website, as you said, and look, go to 41C. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. The next one is what we call also a senior exemption. This is 70 years old, surviving spouse, and this does not have any income limits, but it does have an asset limits, excluding the main domicile. And that is $175. The base amount goes up to $350.
So I would apply, someone wanting to, thinking that they qualify for that, where would they look?
The same thing, the same website, same link, tax assistance programs by fiscal year. This year we'll have a fiscal year 25 available. Same
Yeah.
link will have all the exemptions, yes. And I must add that the deadline for filing for these exemptions are usually April 1st,
Ah,
except the
That's-
one we're going to be looking at later. Well, we can describe what
so in
the,
other words, for fiscal 25, sorry, for fiscal 25, did they have to have applied already by April 1st? Or is this,
no, fiscal year 25 is coming up. So the fiscal year 24, they filed this past April.
got it,
Those are closed now. The deadline for fiscal year 25 is April 1st of 25.
perfect.
Yeah, the fiscal year starts July 1st. It's July 1st. Next, we have the veteran exemptions. This is the requirement for this is veterans with a minimum of 10% service-connected disability can receive an exemption for taxes, and it's $400, and for base amount $400, and it could be up to a net tax due. We have various categories of veterans. We have the basic class 22, which is a minimum of 20%, 10% disability. We also have a full exemption for what we call 22F, which is paraplegic. And that could get the full tax exemption. Same thing, domicile is July 1st for the last 5 years in Brookline or 6 months prior to the service. And that is granted annually. There was no income or asset limits for this exemption.
Great.
This exemption is for legally blind, and it's also provided the requirement is just to be domiciled in Brookline as of July 1st for the tax year. For example, fiscal year 25, if you're domiciled as of this coming July 1st, 24, you will qualify for this exemption, provided you have a certificate of blindness from Mass Blind Association. And the amount is $500 the base, and it doubles to $1,000.
Yeah, MAVI, right?
And no requirements, any other requirements. Now we get to the tax deferrals. Tax deferrals is provided for taxpayers who would like to defer their taxes if they're not able or not ready to pay their tax bill this year. They can defer the tax up to the full amount of the tax bill. This is also the same thing, requirements, 5 years domiciled in the main domicile, 10 years in Brookline, age 65. Income limit is $103,000. And the interest rate for deferral for this year is 3.96%. If you defer your taxes, that's the expected interest rate you'll be charged for deferring your taxes. And you can defer your taxes. You can defer it for 1 year, or you can defer it until you sell or you get rid of the property. So there's no limit of how many years you can defer your taxes, as long as you can not go over 50% of the value of the home. Now, Community Preservation Act, this was adopted in fiscal year 22. This is basically a flat 1% charge on the tax bill. So on the net tax due, which means anyone that receiving this exemptions we just talked about, that exemption is not, the fee does not apply to that exemption, only applies to the net tax.
Oh,
So
great.
Flat 1% on the tax bill, net tax bill. And again, there are some requirements. A domicile that's December 31st, and Brookline is December 31st, prior to January 1st of the tax year. Income limit is $91,200, and age 60. And that is a flat, but 1%.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people ask about that. So.
We do, there are some, not sure if we have that slide here, but the CPA also provides some exemptions. You could actually file for an exemption from the Community Preservation Act. And there are some income limits that are posted on our website. If you know, you could get a total exemption from that 1% fee if you qualify. So it is a full exemption if you do qualify. Again, it's posted on our website, and the same tax assistance program for fiscal year 25.
Excellent.
And then the next is the means tested senior exemption. This was adopted in fiscal year 24, which is the current year, the first time adopted this year. This is Brookline is one of the few communities that adopted this exemption. This was filed a home rule petition, went before town meeting. It was approved and was sent to the legislature and voted, and it passed. And so it came back to us for adoption. We adopted it, and these are the requirements. The amount of the exemption is not a set amount; it varies depending on your income, on your assets, pretty much, especially the income and any other exemptions you receive. This exemption we just talked about, those are taken out prior to issuing this exemption. And also, if you do receive a circuit breaker on your income tax, state income tax, that amount is also deducted prior to issuing this exemption. So the amount varies. That's why it varies from one taxpayer to another. Again, it's domiciled December 31st. You have to be in Brookline 10 years, age 65. And this income limits are tied to the circuit breaker, state income circuit breaker, same limits. The asset limit was adopted by the select board and set at $750,000, excluding your domicile. And the minimum as assessed value to qualify, minimum assessed value is maximum assessed value is $1,139,000, which means if your property is $1,140,000, you would not qualify. And that is that amount is in the law. It's basically the median value of singles, family, and condominiums combined. Each year we have to calculate that median, and we, as the law provides, we add a 10% on top of that.
Is that the same number for the entire state, or is it Brookline?
No, this is a Brookline adopted rule. Yes.
Just to interject for a moment, this is the one exemption of all the ones that Rachid's detailing where the deadline is early. So
Yes.
rather than April 1st, it's earlier in the fiscal year. So people should just be aware of that.
Yes, it's August 31st. So it's July 1st to August 31st. 2 months. They have 2 months to file this exemption. So basically, it's coming up July 1st.
All right.
The forms will be available. And on the website to download, or we have them in the office available. We can mail them to taxpayers, and we're accepting them through the August 31st. That's the deadline.
Yeah, that's really important, everybody. Anybody watching this show, August 31st, the means tested senior exemption application.
And then we have what we call tax work-off program, and this is a program that's provided. It's a tax credit on the tax bill for people who will qualify to be credited in exchange for 133 hours of volunteer service.
So is this already filled, or do you need more people for the year?
Well, we have 35 participants and each year so far, and that's the maximum. I understand there's a waiting list.
Okay.
And 35, in fact, we fiscal year 24, we received 32 certificates that already finished their service.
Is it possible, since that's filled, can we move on to the tax aid committee? Because that's very different. What is that?
Tax aid committee.
That's why.
Yeah, tax aid committee is separate. It's a separate committee. It's provides some exemptions. there are some requirements, obviously, there's some limits, but it is a fund that's funded through donations. Unlike the other exemptions that come out of the tax overlay account, the tax aid committee provides exemption through tax donations that are on the tax bill. There is a box you check off if you want to donate some money towards that tax fund. That's where the money comes from for the exemptions. So anyone who's who can pay their tax bill, it's certainly welcome to file the application. Same deadline, April 1st each year, to file that applications with us, with the assessors.
Question: how else do they get in touch with you? I understand the website. What's the best way for someone looking at this says, I think I may have something, I have no idea, who do they go to? I know they can go to the senior center, but what about you guys?
Oh, sure. Both my office and Lincoln's office are open, phone lines. We have people, we have the phone lines are open in person. People can come into the town hall, either second floor or first floor. We had forms distributed to various libraries in the past, which we are willing to do that also. And I understand we have some dates for the farmers market to be have a table assigned to various town departments, that including us, finance, and we'll be manning a table with all the forms that are available and directions.
This is all the way through the
items.
farm. This is
Yeah.
each week, right?
No,
Yes.
that's right. So the town is going to be having a table at least every week. The assessor's office and the finance department will be taking some of those.
Okay, got it.
weeks. So not every single
Right.
week, but
No, but that's
many of
good.
those weeks.
Yeah, and they can, yeah, that's good. That's really important. Yes, Rachid, sorry.
Yes, and the email, obviously, it's widely used, and
Sure.
we answer emails, we provide information. And typically what we do every year, all the exemptions granted in this year, for example, will be printed prior to July 1st. We pre-printed with all the information needed for the exemption. We mail them out. We mail 2 copies to each taxpayer that qualifies for that exemption. All they have to do is sign them, send them back, and we process them. So we do make it.
So I hate to say this, but that's the time we have. And if questions are raised and things happen, I would be glad to bring you back over specific subjects that become issues or questions in town. I really want to thank you guys, because this is really helpful to me anyway, because I get a lot of questions. The program, to everybody else, is going to be rebroadcast. It often is in the next few weeks. It's available on Brookline Can website and on the Brookline Can Twitter and Facebook accounts. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.